to an age when thought is free. From the age of Big Brother. From the age of the thought police. From a dead man. Greetings.
It always like kind of irritates me when like once you're finished and like you can't sit, right?
Yeah.
And it's even when you go to the toilet, you're like you fear it because your bum hurts so much, right? And people might even say there's a bit of hemorrhaging. I don't know if you went to a doctor or something,
What?
but sometimes there's even blood on the toilet paper.
Is this when you eat
But-
Chipotle?
And yeah, it's just I don't know what to do about those dumps, right? Like they're basically tearing you a new one.
Yeah. I think we've all had that at some point, right?
It's scary.
Yeah.
Think about it, dude.
Every time you
Like-
see toilet paper, you're like, no, no.
Not even just like you feel that your stomach rumbling and you go like, oh boy, here we go again. You know what it was? I was actually thinking about this earlier this week. Was people, and I mean you as well, one of the proponents of like attacking the carnivore diet. But the one thing that I found was interesting is that you barely dump, right? It comes out as liquid, it comes out as kind of like pellets.
That ain't
And
good,
then-
dude. Anyway.
But
okay.
do you know why that happens? It
Okay,
happens because your body has absorbed almost everything.
That's so much
Your body
garbage,
can
dude.
use every little thing that meat has
Bro,
and
Bro.
absorb it. Whereas the vegetables, people are like, it's good fiber. It's like, no, your body's barely absorbing things from it. That's
Yeah.
why there's so much that comes out.
yeah, but fiber isn't supposed to be absorbed. The purpose of fiber is to scrape as much of that crap of that, because remember your intestines, it's convoluted, it's like all swirls and stuff, right? And so things get stuck. It's not a perfect system. So the fiber is
It
supposed
is
to
a
try
perfect
and
system.
No,
It's
the fiber is
it's a imperfect diet.
the fiber is supposed to grab as much of that crap out with it so that it cleans. Like you were talking about the carnivore diet. Do you know that red meat can stay in the body for several years? Like pieces of red meat. It's like one of the most poorly digestible.
That was debunked.
Debunked, dude. By who? RFJ.
His name's RFK. But anyways,
I say that it's pretty good.
okay. Okay, the guy's got a disease on the voice, but sure, make fun.
Dude, he's got worms in the brain. That's his problem.
First of all, you just have to look up guys like Sean Baker. He's been carnivore for 20 years.
Fuck, man.
What do you mean, dude? Like this idea that because you've been fed whatever schlep or whatever shtick, just to add some Yiddish, is that, oh no, this is the food pyramid. This is what you need.
Mm.
Cereals, the husk of the wheat, because we've pulled out all the nutrients.
The husk of
I mean,
the wheat. Bro.
You literally, do you know how many people eat like muesli and cornflakes and wheat bix and bread, and they're like, "This is a balanced diet."
No, it's not.
But then
Everyone knows.
as soon as when it comes to meat, and then all of a sudden it's, yeah, that meat, it stays in my body. I looked, it was there.
Listen,
So
you're
it's kind of just
conflating.
disingenuous,
You're conflating several issues. First of all, cornflakes is not healthy, okay? It spikes your blood sugar and then it drops you like a bag. If you want to test something, eat Cocoa Pops. You can eat like a 2-liter bucket full of Cocoa Pops. You'll be full for a total of 30 minutes. And then afterwards, it feels like your stomach has never consumed anything ever. Like you're so hungry, right? Because it's not satiating food. You should be eating, and I think it's the same with Wheat Bix.
It's nutrients that's the difference.
What do you mean?
Anything that's any food that is nutrient rich makes you full. Anything that isn't keeps you hungry. That's
I
why
wouldn't
if you have a
say,
nice big piece of steak, not if I wouldn't say, you can look it up. This is why whole foods, single ingredient items make you feel so full, but yet you're losing weight at the same time because you're not constantly eating.
yes, exactly, but you can't use that. Look, that's what I wanted to say is don't say every single food that makes you full. Say whole foods, right? Because there are
I just said
foods.
whole foods.
Yeah, I know, but you also started saying some other rubbish, like oats.
I said that nutrient rich foods makes you full.
Yeah, okay, good. Some foods are not nutrient rich. They're just designed as fillers. They're just meant to make you full, but then you don't actually gain the nutrients. That's why you have people who have like weird skin diseases, and it's not something hereditary or genetic. It's literally being caused because there's a nutrient deficiency, even though they've gained a lot of weight, right? So it's about getting nutrient dense food, which will then be satiating, right? That's the link I want to put it. I want to say the link is from nutrient dense towards satiating, not necessarily from it's satiating, so automatically it's nutrient dense. You get what I'm trying to say? It's tendencies towards one direction, because you can get garbage that's been so stripped of its nutrients, it's just gonna make you full, but it's not.
Okay, give me an example.
You want an example? Okay, I'm gonna give you some. Okay, food that fills you.
So you literally, I'm asking you. Give me an
Yeah.
example of this food that you're talking about. Why are you looking it
I
up on
because I don't want
Google?
to talk crap.
No, I mean you could say anything. Bread, for instance, that you buy from the shop, or
Yeah.
anything
The
like
bread is
that.
something like that. White bread, plain rice cakes, pretzels, and large bowls of low fiber refined pasta. Boom. And I only
What do
did
you
that with
mean,
the
boom? Like you just figured something out. Let's stay on track here.
dude. Just because I didn't want to talk out my bum, okay? I didn't want to
You
talk out my
literally
bunghole.
said it, right?
Yeah.
You made the statement, and then I said, "Okay, give me an example of one of those foods."
You
And
didn't
then
want me
you're
to look
like,
it
"I don't
up.
want to talk out my ass." So what were you referring to when you initially made the comment?
I was thinking of white bread and these kind of things. You know, manufactured. As you can see, white bread processed, right? Plain rice cakes processed, pretzels processed. You see, low fiber refined pasta, again, a processed food. So we're saying the same thing. You said the same thing, whole foods. So I'm just trying to say that nutrient dense, look for nutrient dense food, and it will make you full. It will be satiating. Don't say
No, but
everything
remember
that is
what the point of
satiating.
this was that I said meat is
You wanna
satiating
should I Google
because
that
it
thing about
has all those nutrients.
how long red meat stays in your body, since you're saying that it gets fully absorbed? You want me to Google that or you don't, huh?
Go for it if you want, but
Okay, let
um,
me just do it. Let me just do it.
no,
Okay,
I'm just saying, do it if you want,
okay.
but it's not something I'm interested in terms of I've actually
Facts are
done the experimentation.
is red
You
meat
just coming from
fully.
a place of fear because
I'm not
if we have to send a camera crew to
down your
your place
bunghole.
now, how much wheat bix are we gonna find? How much muesli? How much white bread? How much rusks and biscuits are we gonna find in the cupboard?
Wait, let's see this. No, that's not. That's what I want to say fully. Why is it not answering the question? It's like food is. It's there.
Now, so basically, it's not giving you your
No, but it's not
bias, and so
answering
now
the
you're
question. I
asking a
want to
new
know, is it
question.
fully digested? I'm looking for the word. Is it
What do you mean
fully?
fully digested?
You just said that it fully digests, like it's fully absorbed. That's why you
Did I not
you
say
you
that
crap
you
pellets or
still
something.
dumb?
No, you said you're talking about pellets and juices coming out.
Dumping, it means that. What I mean is, there's not as bulky of the fiber like when you eat broccoli and stuff like that. But obviously, there is some type of
Excrement.
junk that gets some waste that leaves your body,
Okay, let
but
me
most
read
of
the
it gets
response.
absorbed.
Let me read the response for you so that you know why I was not fully satisfied. Okay, but please don't be like a J of RFK here. Just listen to this. So my question is red meat fully absorbed by the body? Now we all know that obviously red meat is absorbed by the body, but I wanted to know, is it fully absorbed by the body? And the stupid AI answer, if you ask me, is yes, red meat is digested and its usable nutrients such as amino acids, fats, iron, and vitamins are absorbed almost completely. Typically, so it says it's usable nutrients. Okay, that makes sense, obviously. Typically within 24 to 72 hours total transit time, though it does not linger indefinitely or rot in the gut. So,
So they just destroyed your whole argument about red meat sitting in the gut for
okay,
days
I
and weeks.
let me check this one more thing
Because
because I
no,
got
no, no.
this.
Because a lot of people
Believe
have been
that.
spun that story,
Yeah.
and now now you have the information. Will you change,
Yeah,
or are
yeah.
you going
I
to keep
already eat
protesting
meat. Dude,
outside the KFC?
I already eat meat, so you can't convert
No,
me.
no. But here's the thing: you've now realized that you were wrong, right?
From what?
We figured out now that you were completely wrong, and so the question is, it's like this is a live demonstration
Bro, you're
of propaganda that has been spouted,
Mikey,
and
you are
you were so sure of it. You were
hold
so
on,
sure
hold
that
on, hold on, hold
okay,
on.
now the guy's cutting me off.
No, no, hold on. The reason I'm saying hold on is because first of all, you're talking as though I don't eat meat every day. Secondly, you're treating me
That's not the
like
point.
you're talking to me like I'm some leftist veganist, right?
Leftist.
Yeah, of course.
What are
This is
you
nothing,
talking about,
bro.
dude?
The way you're going at it, I was simply saying that you're trying to purport that a carnivore diet, remember that, you're not saying meat and other stuff. You're saying a carnivore diet. A carnivore diet is, in my understanding, and I think the understanding of many people, means to the exclusion of oats, rice, or any sort of grains, right? You're heavily leaning on the carnivore. Now, what I do, not just what I say, is I eat whole foods with the meats. I eat the organ meats, liver, kidneys. I eat chicken breast. I eat red
Chicken
meat.
foot.
No, that ain't it for me, bro. Um, yeah, I know
Yeah,
my
we
wife
know, we
had a
get it. You eat the cornbread, you eat the watermelon, yada yada yada. What I'm trying
cornbread.
to say is this,
So look at
based
you.
off
You
of
just like put all of that aside. I'm trying to prove a point here. Like, dude.
no, no,
Okay.
because you're going this long way,
I'm not
which
going
is
a long way.
like, okay, we know all that stuff. Why are you even talking about it?
Because I'm
You
trying
had a
to.
specific comment that we broke down, we found
Yes.
out the information, and that's what I'm trying to concentrate
No,
on.
you made the
Now you're talking
comment.
about how you eat the chicken foot and the chicken spleen and
Dude,
all
and the
kinds of
core.
stuff,
Listen, let's
and the
read this answer
colon
here.
and
I Googled something here, okay? And I'm willing to.
no, no, listen here. No, it's
Listen,
my turn now.
I'm reading your.
No, let's get back to the fact here. You
Yes.
said
What did I
red
say?
meat, and I can't wait to watch this
I'm
back.
trying to find the answer
You're
here.
gonna
It's
say
here.
you said red meat rots and stays, not even rots.
Rots.
I'm
Yo,
trying to use
dude.
your exact
I
words.
said it
You said,
stays.
did you know that red meat stays in your system for whatever period of time.
Yes.
And then the answer came up and said that's not true.
No, the answer is here. Let me read it to you. Let me read it to you. I got the answer. Remember, you're conflating issues. You said fully absorbed. I wanted to debunk that, right? I still don't feel satisfied with that answer. But what I will say is that my earlier comment about meat rotting or not, I didn't say rotting. You just said that. I said staying in the gut for a long time is wrong. Here's the answer. I asked specifically, where does the myth come from that red meat sits in the gut for years? And it says, the myth that red meat sits in the gut for years or quote unquote rots inside the body is an urban legend. It likely originated from a combination of old Hollywood pop culture, a misinterpretation of high protein diets, of how high protein diets affect digestion, and generalized bias against animal products. So, as they say in German, das ist mein Bier. That's my beer. I'll have it. Okay? I am guilty,
You
sir.
concede.
I am
It's fine. You
guilty.
can move
I'm
on.
guilty of propagating a falsehood, and unfortunately, I'm not there to kiss your feet at this moment. I hope you accept my apology.
No, that's not my point. I'm not here to embarrass you. What I'm
Oh,
saying
emphasis
is
on
that,
embarrass.
what I'm saying is, here's my real question. Where did you first find that information out that you were wrong about?
Oh, probably on some documentary, like what was that vegan documentary?
The animal one.
What was it called again?
I do know there was one that made its rounds like 2010,
No, soon earlier than
2011, 2012.
I think it was earlier than that. But look, I still maintain that there's a place for vegetables and grains. And I still
But okay, here's another thing, right?
Hmm.
So the Inuit people, and I know everybody always loses their heads when I bring this up, they only eat seal, right?
Do you know where
they
the
get all
Inuit
their
people
nutrients from the
live?
liver.
You know where they live?
What?
You know where they live?
Ye- Of course, I'm the one giving the information here.
Do you know
They
how?
can't grow any vegetables.
Yes, but do you
Right.
know the reason I bring up where they live is? Do you know how many calories you burn when you live in the Arctic Circle? Do you know how many calories you burn? It's not like here, right? For example, there's this story of a plane of Argentinian or
This isn't my
Uruguayan.
point, but continue.
What I'm trying to say is, if you lived there, Mikey, it would be a suitable diet for you because you need a high calorie diet. Okay, you need, even if you were able to grow, apart from the fact that you can't grow grains and like paprika and whatever, even if you were there, those foods wouldn't be have the calorific value wouldn't be high enough for you to live an active lifestyle there. So, but you don't live there. You live in a sunny, hot place. Your body isn't going through the same thing. That's my qualification. Now go.
What I'm saying is this.
Yeah.
They are human beings. I'm a
Yeah.
human being,
Okay.
right? Therefore, I could eat their diet no matter where I am and still be healthy. And it's a very simple diet. Now, I'm not saying I do carnivore, I'll do it for a month and then I stop because I actually like certain vegetables and stuff. Right? But there's this idea that I'm not saying you, but I'm saying a lot of people think that, oh, what? You're gonna get scurvy, you're gonna get gout. There's all these like false, misinformation really that is out there, and people speak about it with such conviction. And even if you show them this, it's like, especially with a bunch of vegans, I know one in particular she was very, they were very, I
Just
guess,
say it.
contagious or contentious about everything. And she was one of those people who we would go to a steakhouse and she would have to come with. And then she
Why?
sits there. And like it was so weird. She had this weird posture where her right shoulder or left shoulder, depending, would be kind of curled in like this, and she would be looking over the shoulder, almost like girl coding, right?
Yeah.
It's called a bitch shield,
A bitch
and she'd
shield.
look at every. Yeah, well, it's pickup terms, but she'd kind of look over at people like this, kind of look at them up and down. And I remember the one time we were at the steakhouse, and I was asking her like, "So, like, why are you here?" You know?
Yeah, that's a good
Oh,
question.
no, that was I was just like, "Why are you here? This is like, a Christian will not go hang out in a like a Satanist's
Yeah, yeah.
church, So what are you doing here?" Oh no, I can show that I'm like she's free and she's not like
But
judgmental and
she's not
stuff.
free because she looks like she's jagging off
Yeah.
from your story. It seems like she's
No, no.
jagging.
So we get our food, and she looks at it like that,
She wants a bite.
and
She wants a
no, no, like yeah,
bite.
I don't know. And she's sitting there completely scrawny as well, like looks at the food like that,
Licks her
and then
lips.
she orders her own food, and she ordered. I want to say the enchiladas, right? So,
Enchiladas, what is
but
that
when
again? Like,
enchiladas is where you take the two tortillas and you put it together with cheese in the middle, and then you cut it in like those triangles. It's like a Mexican
oh
dish,
yeah, yeah,
and
exactly.
you normally dip it, right? So she ordered that, but obviously removed the meat, and I was like, okay, cool, whatever. And then she ate like half the plate, and then realized like there was chicken in it.
Ah.
I was laughing so hard, dude. And also like, but then we didn't have to pay for any of our food
And just before
because of
that,
the
just before that, she must have been
what?
like, "This is so good! Oh my gosh, you should try
No, she's
this."
like, I've made such a good decision being vegan. Look how good it tastes. And then I even remember telling her like, you're literally sitting on flesh. She's like, what do you mean? And she kind of starts looking around because the seats are made from leather.
Yeah,
That's what the steakhouse, that's their whole brand. It's like
yeah.
everything here comes from cows.
Oh.
And she was like, "Ah, well, I'll never come here again." And it's like,
You didn't have to pay for your meal, you said, because of the mix-up. Nah, don't tell me your network is.
her fault. Like,
Oh,
why you even come here? And now you expect these hard workers to do this. And then, but obviously the boyfriend made a big scene. Well, we're not paying for any of this.
hmm.
And it's like, I never went back there. Also, they weren't the best. Like, their burgers tasted awful. It tasted like those store bought patties,
Oh man.
instead of just taking ground meat,
Um, I
making
had a
patties.
I had a fantastic steak. Oh, by the way, just can you shift to your left? Good. You shift to your left. Yeah, perfect. Um, I had a wonderful steak in Barcelona, right? So first of all, in Barcelona, there's like this main street where all these touristy places are. Don't go there. That's terrible, right? It's going to be terrible food. Trust me. Yeah. But then just off this alleyway, because I stopped locals and I asked them, like I asked 2, 3 locals, like, is there a good steakhouse or something? And they all recommended this place. And just off this alleyway, there's this steakhouse. Man, small, right? Focused, dedicated on its craft. Dude, I had this Argentinian steak there. Oh man, that was good, dude. You know when you're smiling with every bite? It's like, yeah. And you're just taking a little bit of a chili sauce on top. You don't douse the whole steak
Oh
on it.
boy.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just remembering it's tasty. Um, but anyway, they served it on this hot rock. So like if you want to like sear a little bit more on one side or something. It was really good. What was the object of this discussion? I think we just started off with the fight, right? With like a debate about meat. But that's not what I wanted to talk to you about today. I want to talk to you about our
There's nothing
boy.
to talk about. There's nothing to say.
Huh? No, I want to talk to you about JRE. So Joe
Our
Rogan.
boy Akash is leaving the pod.
About Joe Rogan. I haven't watched him in a while, just because, yeah. Let's not get into it.
I mean, we can't jump into it. There's other stuff I also wanted to get into before the meat. No pun intended. But continue. You're
You know what I
referring
want to
to
talk about?
Thomas
Okay,
Campbell.
yeah, with Thomas Campbell, exactly. Yeah, Thomas Campbell. So Thomas Campbell, I think you're the guy who introduced me to him. Talks about outer body experiences, and talks about the
Well, he
places.
talks about consciousness, right?
Consciousness, yes.
That's basically it. He has the book My Big Toe, toe meaning theory of everything. And very fascinating work, contended, of course, by a lot of people. But yeah, what are your thoughts on this latest pod, which is his second appearance on Rogan? Always my favorite because it aligns with a lot of stuff I've thought about for a very long time. So it's kind of nice that it's like, oh, here's this dude who's been doing this for 33 years.
Yeah.
The things that he's busy saying, I'm like, but I've been thinking that.
Dude,
I've been thinking that. But
sometimes
what are
your
your
network
thoughts?
does something weird. Your image freezes, but let's just hope that we get through this.
Yeah, I'm having network issues, but I'm trying. I don't want to let it get to me. Not that it can, but I'm just saying, if I do disconnect, that is probably going to happen.
So, like, first of all, I know Thomas Campbell also through, or not through, but I know his predecessor, Robert Monroe, Bob Monroe, however they call him, with the Gateway Project, etc. Remote viewing, the phase, or some people call it astral projection, and consciousness as a whole. I think it's inevitable that if you have those experiences, right, you are going to be, and you become well versed in those experiences, you are going to eventually stumble upon the question of what is consciousness. Okay. And I think that your definition or understanding of consciousness is going to be much more profound than any scientist or theorist who hasn't had those experiences, right? Because if you only know about the one room in a house and someone tells you, dude, there's a whole villa here, you're going to be like, I don't believe it. Where is it? We're in this room. This room is 9 by 9 meters. I don't understand you. So automatically there's a watershed, a point where those who have experienced that can tell you, yes, there's something more going on. And those who haven't are basically confined to trying to understand without that experience. Now, as to the podcast, Joe Rogan is hilarious, bro. I feel like, without criticizing him, he was asking some of the wrong questions. He was like asking one thing that they spoke about, which is interesting. He asked whether AI is conscious. And Thomas Campbell said yes. But I don't think it's the way that many people like us think of consciousness. So what he was saying basically is that as soon as you have a decision path or decision probability, right? That's how he put it. Like the opportunity to make choices, you are conscious. So like a bee is conscious. plants can be conscious because they have decisions that they can make, even though those decisions might be more limited than what we make. Dolphins. It's very interesting the way his take on it. Oof, there's a lot to unpack here.
Well, just to add to that, so
Yeah, please do.
his
Save me.
definition is awareness with a choice. That's what he
Yeah.
believes is what consciousness is. And in terms of the plants thing, what he was saying is that if it's just a stimulus response, then it's not an awareness with a choice,
Yes.
right? The example being, if we look at mycelium and how a tree will, at its roots, the mycelium will grow, the mushrooms, and then they will then take nutrients, send it across these mushrooms to another tree that needs the nutrients. Like it picks that up and it's able to do that. So underneath in the earth, you basically have this whole network of things busy happening where things are helping the others. Now you get something which is just a stimulus response. So it's like consciousness as a whole that is interacting and just doing things, helping itself out, right? So there's a need comes up and then it fills that need, basically. It's not like the mushrooms are there gathering together and they're saying, hey, we need to send resources to this tree over here because this tree is the probability of this tree surviving in the next 3 years is low. So let's all group together and let's, send nutrients. Like it could be that, and if it is that, then that means it's conscious. But if it's just a stimulus response, like let's say for instance a bird, I mean maybe it's not a good example of a bird migrating, right? Because they obviously more conscious, but at the same time,
But
do they
obviously
migrate because it's just a stimulus response? Like, oh, I just have this urge now to fly that way based on the electromagnetic field. Okay, now I'm here and it's warmer. And we look at it as humans and we go, oh, they fly south for the winter or whatever. Is that just like a stimulus, an instinct that they just go off of? They don't really have a choice to do that. Or are they deciding, hey guys, it's actually getting a little bit chilly here. Let's fly over there where it's warmer. So that's like the difference between
but bringing
not
up
being conscious and just a stimulus response.
But here's the thing, right? Now, thank you. You brought something up that I found very interesting. Joe asked something about they went on a little tangent and they basically it was like Joe was asking because Thomas Campbell was saying that there's always been consciousness. And Joe Rogan said something like, well, what about when they were just like, when there were no animals and it was just the earth and there was just lava
It was
and,
hard to hear as well.
Yes, like that. And he was saying that because they were talking about the how they got on that is when Thomas Campbell was trying to explain how without consciousness without consciousness or perception there is no rendering of reality, right? And trying to liken it to maybe like a video game, like only when you
Virtual reality.
Yes, so like almost like a star remains just a dot in the sky until you have the ability to observe it, and then yes, thanks to our sponsor today, and then once you observe it, it renders. Once you go there, it renders. And Joe was obviously having a tough time understanding that idea. And he was talking about, well, what about before there were any living things on the earth, right? And Thomas Campbell was saying, it was still computing. There was still a consciousness.
That's what
Um,
he failed to really understand. You are
yeah.
you're breaking up a little bit for me, so if I'm
Oh,
jumping
sorry.
in, it's because it seems like you're having like a big pause break type
Yeah,
of
no
thing.
problem, man. It's
So
okay.
I might be cutting you off, but essentially, he's not getting the fact that the consciousness is fundamental.
Yeah.
It's always there, omnipresent, omnipotent, omniscient, everything, everywhere, all at once. That is like numero uno, number one. Okay. And he doesn't understand. He thinks that it comes, it's like you get the material form and then the consciousness sort of awakens
Yes,
inside of it.
yes,
He
yes.
doesn't understand that, like, no, you can't even measure consciousness. And these things are just finite forms that appear in consciousness,
Yeah,
even the human being,
yeah.
right? So, and he obviously also doesn't understand like macrocosm, microcosm in terms of everything. And this is why there's nothing new under the sun, right? Because what is actually being said is that when we create things like video games, like where do you think that knowledge comes from? It comes from consciousness.
Even the
So it's
desire.
consciousness
Yeah.
just repeating what it's already been doing. So when you make a video game and you have all these aspects that's in there, that is coming from a source point which has already done that. That's where we're getting the information from. So when you play Minecraft, right, and you look at yourself on the map, I don't know if you've played Minecraft or not, but
Briefly, yeah.
you get dropped on a random place, okay, in a random biome. And if you look on the map, around your character will be a tiny circle, and everything else will just be basically grayed out or black. And when you start, like, so, but on the screen, when you're looking around, you can see in the distance, oh, there's a mountain there and there's a tree there and whatever. But as you start running that way, if you look on the map, you start now creating a pathway where now there's like a memory that starts happening. So the trees start rendering in. Those things aren't there the whole time. It's not like I don't know if I'm using it correctly, but it's not like a fully rendered in sort of a sandbox open world where
Mm.
even if I'm just over here, there's a gazelle like at the other end of the map who's running around. No, it's only the thing that the player is seeing and
But
engaging with.
I would add one qualification, if I may. Remember, we are not the only things that are conscious. But I agree with you that before the consciousness is there, it does not exist. But I wouldn't say that it is exclusive to us human beings. You
No,
understand? So
so
it's not like,
that's what I'm saying.
yeah, yeah.
Each thing has its own level of consciousness that it will see the world. So the squirrel who's in the forest, however the squirrel's consciousness is explored and how it sees things, that will be happening for the squirrel. But for any human being, it won't be happening, if that makes sense. Because we are one consciousness. He can obviously explain it better,
Yeah,
but
he's also been reading a lot of.
here's another example of it. Like there is no there is no brain in your head that is rendered right now, and this is the one that kind of gets people like trippy or like it makes them trip out. There's only rule sets. So
He explained that very well, by the way, I think. Continue.
okay, so when you look at a human's head, right, you don't see a brain. There's just the idea is that there's a whole lot of functions happening within the head. But like a video game, it doesn't have to be rendered. Just the idea alone has it running. right? Just like you know, in when you make an animation and the guy lifts his arm and stuff, it just looks like a guy who's lifting his arm. And when you put in all the different places and you add the right FPS, frames per second, then it smooths out and it looks like it's an arm that's moving. But you know that there's no bones and muscles in that animation's arm. It just looks like that from the outside.
Oh no. Did we lose Michael? What's going on? Lost Michael, people. What a pity. What a pity. Well, okay. We'll be right back. Yeah, so where did we leave off before you were cut off?
Oh, we just had some. No. What did you last hear me say? Remember, I was talking about the brain and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. So you were talking about how the arm, the
All the way
bones and the
there.
flesh.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Okay. I was referring to the animated character that you make on like Blender or something,
Mm.
where you create it to look like it's a real arm that's moving, but
Mm.
you know that there's no bones and muscle and tissue and stuff that you've created inside there to
Yeah.
make it move. It just looks that way, right? So it's the same thing with the human body. Now, this is one of the biggest tests where you really get that resistance from people who, at their core, are actually materialists.
Mm.
This is the biggest thing that affects them because they go, I don't know about that. And so it all stems from the fact that consciousness is fundamental. Therefore, there doesn't have to be anything in there until you render it in, until it is actually perceived. Meaning that, so when you see someone and their brain or their heads, you would say, oh, there's a brain inside the person's head.
Mm.
No, the rule set suggests that there's a brain inside their head and it's functioning, doing its thing. But at the point of where you're looking at someone and you're just seeing the head, their brain actually isn't even rendered in. It only renders in once you cut it open. Now
Yeah.
the the consciousness, the virtual reality, has to fill that place in based off of the information, the data stream that has been previously acquired from other human beings and books and stuff.
Not,
So
I
when you
wouldn't say
when you're
books, I
looking
would
at
say from,
someone,
yeah, but from other human
when you're
beings.
looking at someone, their brain actually isn't even there. It
Oh.
only it's it's like, yeah, that's basically what it is.
It's a
And that's
very,
obviously the biggest thing that people go like, oh, I believe the other stuff, but this is
yeah,
a
well, the
little bit
thing
out.
is like Schrodinger's cat. I believe that's what the experiment is called. I
Yeah, with
haven't
the
read
cat
up.
in the box.
Yes, but also the double split experiment, right? Where we find that light, what the nature of light itself changes between a wave and a particle depending on the observer.
Yeah, the observer
And
effect.
so, which at the very least, means that our perception is based on whether we observe or not, right? Uh, so even Einstein had a problem believing this, or not believing it, but like accepting it, um, because it
Because
didn't
it's
follow.
life changing. Like, and obviously doesn't follow Newtonian physics, right?
Yeah, that it's that the world is hard, measurable, always constant in that way. And I think that has profound implications. I mean, they've even, I believe, tested that with light that has traveled millions of kilometers through space, so that how can I put this without butchering it completely? I know there's somewhere someone who's studied this more in depth who will be like, no, he's expressed it the wrong way. But I remember that basically our observation of light here can even, quote unquote, change at the source. So like it would seem that at the instance of observation here, millions of miles after the light has left its origin, at its origin, that light will change as well. So it's like,
Yeah,
it's
so
a very trippy
basically,
thing.
But at the same time, right,
Yeah.
based off of this theory, is that everything, it's all probability and potential, according to Thomas Campbell's model.
Yeah.
So even seeing that light in the sky, it's just a light there. It's just a flicker. It doesn't actually, that's
It's,
as much as it is until you actually go there with a telescope or you actually travel there. Then when you travel there, and you start perceiving it, what people, and what it does is actually, is it like makes you realize how powerful the observer is and the power of your awareness and attention, right? And we can go off into some other things, which in terms of doom scrolling and social media and stuff, which is actually robbing you of your attention, which is your power. And people, I think it's a bit too much for them to believe that, oh, reality is only where I am. Whatever I see and perceive is the only thing that is rendered in right now. And there isn't actually something happening back at home until I get there. Then the story fills in, the backstory then fills in based off of the questions that's asked and the information. That there is a very, and I've experienced it during like deep meditations. And that's how you see these kind of worlds cross over between like physics and, I guess, spirituality. But
yeah, but many
the
people
idea,
anyone who says
yeah,
that that's spiritualism, and of course, we don't need to pretend like we are somehow quantum physicists. We're
of
laymen.
course not. I don't know anything,
Yeah,
remember.
we're laymen, but the realities of quantum physics, and as well as they can be communicated to us, seem to show that it's not spiritualism. It is in fact just ironically, the hard, cold truth of
And actually,
this world.
ironically, the science.
Yes. So your image is getting very pixelated, but I want to share something I
It's
searched here.
fine. My voice is there.
I just Googled, like, what does the double split experiment tell us about reality? The double split experiment shows that tiny building blocks of the universe, like electrons and photons, which is everything, right? Everything is electrons and photons, do not act like hard little marbles. Instead, they act like spread out waves of probability. So, probability, that choice of what it's going to be, right? It's not set what it is. Act like spread out waves of probability until we measure them, proving that the subatomic world relies on wave-particle duality and that physical interaction forces a definite income. Now listen to that. And that physical interaction forces a definite outcome. So the rule set, right? Based on now that I am touching, now that I am seeing, an outcome must be defined. But it was not defined before that. Now let that really sink in.
Yeah, that is where people are like, Huh? Actually, most of the time they don't even know what you're actually even talking about.
It's difficult to
That's
perceive.
that's why I always say you need to. I know a lot of people who they know a lot of technical terms and stuff, but they couldn't explain it to a 6-year-old. So
Yeah.
that's one of the bigger problems. Like people can use all these things, waveforms collapsing in on themselves, and they can use those technical terms, but can you explain it
Yeah,
to
but
a
here's something
kid?
here's something interesting that it adds, the final sentence. Most users on Reddit agree that the experiment illustrates fundamental rules of quantum mechanics rather than magical human consciousness. Now, I have a qualm with this.
Semantics, if you ask me.
Yes, because why are you saying it seems like you're getting an answer, but you're saying, yeah, but it's still not like that, right?
It's
Um,
basically you're using terms that sit well within you,
yeah,
right?
to allow you to
So
accept it better.
this is what people do. Of course, I can I have empathy for them because there's
Empathy.
been
That's
so
hilarious.
much doctrine and dogma that's been spread throughout religious groups. Because remember, that's always what it comes to. Always remember that. No matter what people say, that is always the root cause, is that they have some type of issue with God and religion and that stuff. So anything that's too airy fairy or too spiritual, that's not going to cut it. No, no, this can be explained with quantum physics, even though they can't even explain quantum physics, right? But the filter that they're looking at it at is more acceptable to them now. Um, so call it whatever you want, but don't act like you know what it is now just because you're using scientific terms,
I
right?
have a second question that I want to ask. Continue, please.
No, no, no. That was my. I ended it with that. I would just remind me about the awareness thing. It's a very important topic that I've been wanting to discuss for some time.
What about the awareness thing?
Yes, the when I remember I said perception creates reality because the measuring is just placing your awareness on something. That is measuring something, right? So that's what gives it life. So when you are doom scrolling, when you are on social media and your attention keeps falling up upon, once again, that probability of like how likely am I going to see some terrible news about something, gossip or violence or some politics or whatever the case may be, the probability of that is high, right? So when you measure it with your awareness, now you keep spouting the probability that, oh, there's a headline, a car wreck, someone was raped, all types of things. Um, Once you draw your awareness away from those things, now you can actually create in your life. Now your
Yeah.
life can actually be better, just depending on where you place your attention. The more your attention is divided and pulled left and right, the less you'll actually be in control of your life.
Okay. There was so my follow-up question. Sorry, I want to get to this. Is my follow-up question.
But just before you continue, am I lagging, anything like that? Just a quick update.
It's okay. I mean, it varies from moment to moment a little bit, but it's
It's
okay.
fine.
So my follow-up question to the double slit experiment and what
Okay,
it
so
means.
everything I just said, throw that away.
No, I'm not, because I'm looking for more, right? I don't want us to get into the territory where we're just spouting a lot of garbage. Or anyway, it's not like this is hard fact necessarily, but let's see what this could mean. Okay. and here how quantum rendering works. To use your no, that's garbage. Wait, hold on one tiny second. So my follow-up question was, so my question was, so does this mean or imply that the material universe, in inverted commas, is not rendered until perceived or interacted with? And this is a very interesting answer that AI gave us. No, it does not mean the universe vanishes when you look away. I didn't say that, by the way. Anyway, however, your video game analogy of rendering is a highly accurate way to describe how physicists view the math. Okay. The distinction lies in what forces the universe to render. It is not human perception or a conscious mind that triggers it. It is any physical interaction. The universe is constantly, quote unquote, rendering itself because particles are always bumping into each other. How quantum rendering works. The unrendered state, when a quantum particle is completely isolated from the environment, the universe doesn't track its exact location. Instead, it only tracks the rules of where it might be. So okay, let's chew on that for a second. Wait, let's go to the next part and then we'll get to that. The rendered state. The moment that particle bumps into an atom, a stray photon, or a piece of laboratory equipment, it exchanges information. That physical interaction forces the particle to choose a definite property. Quote, in brackets, the wave function collapses. There's a little bit more that it says about why consciousness isn't the trigger. Let's see. It feels a bit like it's justifying itself because it's like it feels like it said yes to my question, but it wants to say no at the same time because it's scared that I'm going to turn this into some kind of spiritual Hajj or something like that. A common myth states that a human brain must perceive the data for reality to exist. We did not say that, right? We said consciousness. In physics, an observer is just any macroscopic object. A camera, a dust mote, or a single gas molecule acts as an observer. I think that's closer to what we said, right? If an electron bumps into an air molecule inside the double slit experiment, the pattern collapses instantly. No human ever needs to look at the data for this rendering to place, right? Physicists generally agree on the math, but they split into different interpretations regarding what this implies about the universe. You know,
So there's a couple of things there that I can kind of push back on.
yeah.
One being, if me as the human being never actually look at that, did it even happen? You know what I mean? Like, how would you know that that took place if you didn't look at it, if you didn't notice it? So the biggest question is this: it's just objectivity versus subjectivity. And my what I believe, not even believe, what I've come to notice is that things viewed subjectively are hold more water than this objective sense of things.
I would say there is nothing like
Because
objective. There's only the subjective.
yeah, like I just
Even
look, I didn't want to go that far with it,
it's
but I mean,
just that
I would say the same thing.
it's just that we have to limit our understanding of subjective because we as human beings we want to be human centric, right? But but that's not it necessarily. But it is certainly in the sense that it is subjective, just not only human
So yeah, so
subjective.
here's something I will say. It is right when it says that it's not based solely on a human being's
Mm.
experience and what they are aware of. Of course, because consciousness is wider than just human beings, like we mentioned with the squirrels and all that type of stuff. But a key thing to remember is that you aren't a squirrel. It's whatever you are, right? If I'm on a deserted island and I'm there and those are the only things that I see, then it's like that Minecraft map. Everything else is not necessary to my subjective experience unless I start traveling out. Yes, there's a probability that, hey, there's maybe further down over there, there's another island. And then if there's another island, then there must be bigger pieces of land. If there's bigger pieces of land, maybe there's more people. But these are just ideas. You have to look at it only from your experience because isn't that the only thing that matters to you? Like,
I think
I
it's an.
can't really, yeah. It's
You know what I'm thinking now? Bringing
This
this.
is what happens when you start explaining and over explaining. You start getting into the weeds.
Yeah,
The concepts and the ideas are there, but then we come in with the intellect and we explain ourselves into a whole because it's not really something you can explain.
no, but that's the nature of scientific inquiry is to do that, right? And I would kind of quote or paraphrase what you said before. We have learned that information from somewhere. So if it is in our nature to pursue scientific inquiry, it means that that is in consciousness itself, right? It's like consciousness wants to explore, right? Um, what I want to go before we go into like the whole universe and understanding all these things that are very far away from us, is that what happens when we dream? Because when we dream, right, our body, our physical state is at rest, which means that our consciousness, it doesn't go away though, right? So is that why we render dreams? Because now the consciousness, I want to be careful here. Now the consciousness is not moving about in the physical space, quote unquote, but now now it needs to, it can't just not do anything. It can't just like sit there and do nothing. So now it renders dreams, or it renders this phase. You understand what I'm trying to say?
No, I do. It's just, you see, this is what it kind of comes back to, which is it's like that's the material sense inside of you. That's where the question comes in. Is that
Oh, pictures
that's
frozen.
probably at your core where you're like, you're a materialist, right? Because the idea is that there's a physical body in a bed somewhere, right?
I was
Instead of
okay. Yeah.
being like, no, that consciousness is now just showing something else. And that place where you're quote unquote sleeping, it's not even in existence in that moment.
Yeah, but that's what I'm
Like that
trying to
that whole world is like, it's not even rendered in. Nothing is happening there because you're literally now seeing something else. You're in a brand new body. Well, not even a brand new body. You're just, that's what it's showing. Consciousness always awake, always alive, never sleeping.
That's what I mean. That's what
And
I'm.
since you're a fractal of that, you are never actually sleeping.
Yeah.
Um, because that kind of comes down to the materialist thing. Oh no, but the body is still there. but it's not really. And this is why this is like very like this is like hectic stuff here for most people. But here's a question I can ask you: in a dream, are the people you see there real? Who in there is real? If you had to guess, who do you know for a fact in your dream is actually a real person?
What do you mean? Explain a bit. Do you mean the people that I'm dreaming of, or you mean because I mean
Like
obviously
in your dream, there's like a whole scenario that plays out, and you are there. Who in there, in your opinion, is like a real person that you can say, even if it's one person, if it's five, if it's 10?
they are there. They are waiting for me every time. You mean?
No, I'm asking who is real in your dream
Yeah, bro. That's
to
a
you.
well. I mean, obviously, I'm gonna say it's a dream. It's not real. What do you mean? Like, what are you saying?
No,
Like,
so you would say that you are real in your dream. That you know that for a fact. You just maybe went to go sleep or
oh,
something, but
okay.
in your dream you can say, "No, I am here. I'm alive, and I woke up the next day, and here I am. I'm still here." So you can say, "I am in my dream for a fact. I know that I am real, but these could be dream. These are probably dream characters." Because if I ask that person that I saw in the dream, that was crazy what happened last night, they would say, "What are you talking about? I
Mm,
wasn't there."
okay. Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So, I mean, I really didn't want to lead you there, but I guess I had to.
Yeah. You had to explain because I mean, the question of who's real in your dream is a bit. Yeah, but okay.
No, because
Continue.
that is the fundamental question. Like, who is real? Okay. So now when you're in there and you see all these people, you know that, oh, this isn't the real person.
Hmm?
But now, what is the difference between the dream and then when you wake up and now you're interacting with other people? Like, what makes it different? What changes it?
They remember if I go and rob a bank here, they're gonna remember it, and I'm gonna be like, "No, this is just a dream." They're like, "Okay, well, in this dream, you're going to jail." So,
Okay, so how do you know that that doesn't happen in the dream as well? If you rob a bank in a dream and the dream plays out for, let's say, a year, are they just going to forget that you robbed them?
yes, in fact, they're gonna
You
remember.
sure about that?
Well, I think the problem is that, yeah, and this is what I was talking about. This is the reason why Tom Campbell's perspective and yours is so different, is because you have so much experience, and him especially, with the phase. So for someone like me, it's a dream. It's less than a memory. It's long forgotten, It's like, far away. But I am assuming, I can only guess that when you are not constantly necessarily, but often, I'm assuming that someone like Thomas Campbell, he always goes to the phase every time he closes his
He's
eyes.
always in the phase.
You see,
You actually
and
mentioned it on Rogan, and Rogan had no idea what he was talking about.
yeah, could tell that there's a lot that.
When
Yeah.
he was
Anyway.
like, I'm in like three different places at once, even while I'm sitting here. Rogan
Mm.
couldn't even like imagine what he was talking about. Um, but anyways, that yeah,
Yeah, because I mean,
I've
if
I'm not that on that level yet, but I have. It was maybe three times it's happened to me where I entered a thought fully, full body and everything, and I couldn't believe it. I was like, dude, I was thinking about something, and the next thing I was standing in the room of the thing that I was thinking, and the two people were there. And I was like, no ways. How am I in the phase? I'm not sleeping. And I like it was my two friends. They were like dating, and I was like, "Yo, can I get some water?" Because I'm immediately thinking, mirror, eat something,
Those are the three
eat
steps
it.
to anchor yourself more
Yeah,
deeply in the phase.
yeah. Like you look at yourself in a mirror, you eat something, and then you deepen by
Touching
physically
thing.
touching things and seeing textures and running your fingers along it. And what happens is you start anchoring deeper and deeper into it. Because if you don't do that and you get excited, like, oh my goodness, I'm, lucid dreaming or whatever, boom, you'll just get pulled right out of it. So what happens is I drink the water, look in the mirror, and I'm saying, oh my goodness, I can't believe this. And they're looking at me as if my friends would be looking at me in real life saying, dude, what are you talking about? Are you on drugs or something? Like, why are you acting so weird? And then my door opened and someone started talking to me. And I just shifted, like in the face, I looked to the left from where I heard this like sound coming from. And as I turned like that, I just re entered where I was sitting and then started speaking to the person at the door. Completely streamlined, completely no, oh, I was sleeping or something like that. Just literally sitting there, thinking about it, going into the phase, and then looking to the left and on the bed.
Mm.
That was when I was like, whoa, this is too crazy. This is like
Yeah.
out there, out there, out there. The
Yeah.
fact that I could be on a bus, on a train, and I could be doing whatever I wanted, wherever I wanted. So when he was saying that, Tom Campbell, he does like he doesn't actually. The people listening, they're like, oh, I don't know what he means by that.
Mm.
But when he says he's sitting there and but I mean, he's on that level, right? Where he can be in like three different places. Why? Because consciousness is fundamental, right? And he even gave the way to do it right there. He said, when you pull and now we're going back to that attention awareness thing, when you pull your attention away from the physical senses and you kind of go into the heart center, everything opens up. That's when you can think of anything and you can, with through intention, you can just go there. And it just happens automatically. So in terms of with dreams, it's once you start going into the phase the whole time and you're interacting with people, and then it's strange when you quote unquote wake up because you go, what is different about that person who I spoke to in the dream, in the phase, than talking to someone at the shop? Because once I leave them, I don't know what happens in their life. Like, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
in the dream, what do you say? No, they disappeared because they're not even real.
Mm.
But you only knew that when you woke up. While it was happening, you didn't know that. So it's it gets into the weeds, and unless you're actually doing it, and I like even this week I heard someone use a term like, oh, that's dream yoga, and I was like, huh, okay. I never heard that before,
Will
but
you do me a favor and explain a bit about dream yoga? I've got to take a leak. 30 seconds.
okay, well, I'll just start talking about it, but I don't know anything about it.
Okay.
So basically, what the person was saying is that there are certain roads to quote unquote self realization, enlightenment, whatever you want to call it. And there's all these different methods through certain types of yoga, um, through opening your heart, like devotion, like bhakti yoga, this pranayama, which is through breath work. I can't remember what that type of breath is called now, where it's holotropic breathing. Actually, that's what it's called. You do this heavy breathing, like with Wim Hof, the Wim Hof method, where people have also experienced kind of like these out of body things. But the dream, what I would imagine dream yoga is essentially taking the path of that kind of everybody's on anyways, right? Meaning that when you are able to realize your dreams and be able to have memories of it, be able to put one and one together and say and start asking questions, doing inquiry. Why what is so different about the dream as opposed to this awake dream, if you will? And that there it's a very easy door because everybody's done it. You know, everybody dreams at night. Some people don't remember it, of course, but it's a great way in it. Um, I just don't understand why. Yeah. Anyways,
Dude,
I don't know how much you heard, but yeah.
some of it I've heard before. You know what's really so this week, last week we spoke a little bit about dream phase. Privately we speak about it quite often. I said I would try to go into the phase. It was a bit half baked. I already told you that my previous best experience was daytime, right? Because I'm in that, like, I'm asleep, but I don't really sleep so deeply, right? Even when I think back to some very weird experiences as a kid, I realize it was in daytime naps. So where I go to bed, I take a nap, and then I open my eyes, but I'm not, and I can feel my body, but I can clearly see that I'm not looking at my bedroom, right? Those experiences I've had, and I had no idea of what was going on there. It would be weird stuff. It would be weird stuff, man. Like where my hand is like moving, but I can still feel my arm is on the bed. Like I can physically sense I'm lying on my bed, but my hand is up. And
Yeah,
so
no,
this,
it happens a lot when you don't. It's like you're in that transition, you
mm,
know,
mm,
like the caught in between.
yeah,
But when you see something like that, right, you need to stand up with that body that's moving, right? Put your attention on the body, and it's more about intention. So in the dream world, whatever the phase, intention moves things very easily. So
yeah,
you can literally, through intention of being like, I'm gonna stand up, like you're sitting down, right? Like you can try stand up without using your body. You can keep your body still and then have the intention to stand up and almost be pushing from the inside, like you're trying to get up. Like you can do that without moving your actual body. But what happens and especially if you read books like Journeys Out of the Body, what happens is there will be movement. That obviously normally scares people. That's why he says stuff like roll out or there's an imaginary rope that you grab and you start pulling yourself up through intention alone, and then you'll actually start moving that way. Um, Now, something that's interesting is that with me, and I don't know if this was, how much of it is preordained and stuff like that, but the
What, as in
main
you're selected?
no, no, no. So when I was 8 years old, I got hit by a car quite terribly, um, hospitalized and things like that. The first time I ever started, the stuff started happening to me was in the hospital bed. You see, I would lie there, and the first thing I would notice was that I was spinning around, like on the same spot. Like that Da Vinci Man, like that.
Like in our
You had it like
podcast
the
intro.
intro.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what did you call it? Something with a V.
Vitruvian Man.
Vitruvian Man. So that's the only, like, do you know what's the word now? That sphere thing that spins when you in it like that. What's it
I know what
called
you're trying to
now?
say. I don't know.
It starts with an O. Anyways, like, so your hands and feet are like wide and you can spin around in all multiple different directions. That's the only way I can that's the only way I can explain it, right? Is that I was lying in bed, 8 years old, and I'm spinning, dude, like around, and sometimes I'm lifting up and sometimes I'm dropping down. And I never told anybody because, I didn't want people to think there was something wrong with me.
He's
Like
possessed.
I'd been hit
Pastor, come
by
pray for him.
I'd been hit by a car and I'm already acting like, no, I'm fine. It's just a scratch, even though like my brain was like out on the left side. Um,
You're
and
lying, it
like,
wasn't. Was it?
dude, like you can't see it now, but I have like deep stitches here, cracked
Yes,
skull.
bro.
My liver was split in half. Like it was a terrible thing, dude. But what I'm saying is, from then onwards, it would happen to me. Um, can you hear that screaming in the back?
No, I cannot.
Okay, thank goodness, because there's like a kid screaming outside my door, like on the louds.
Should I be calling the authorities? What's going on there? Why are the
No, it's
kids?
it's my nephew. Anyway, so um, yeah, so that's when those things actually started happening to me. And then I remember being at home and I was having a lot of fun with it, you know. I would be like suspended animation like outside of my body, and I would be able to move and stuff. But for some reason I never had the idea to move away from my body. That was
You
always
didn't
the
know you
interesting
could.
thing. Yeah, like I just thought, oh, this thing. I remember once I was standing on the, like, you know how kids will just stand on a sofa while they're watching TV,
Mm.
right? So like my whole family's watching a movie and I'm standing on the sofa, like leaning with my bum basically against the backrest. I actually think we were watching Kids Say the Darndest Things.
Okay.
It was a long time ago. And I remember I was standing there and it happened. I just started falling like through the floor, just like, and I even remember my knees buckled like that. And they looked at me like, they were like, what? And I was like, no, it's nothing. Um, I think I might have even said something like my leg fell asleep or some poor excuse. But I remember just being. Remember, I told you I was able to do that thing where you. I can't really explain it, but you completely remove your attention from like any physical sense in the outside world, and you just kind of, it's like you have this defocused vision. It's called
Mhm.
like a soft gaze, and you're just kind of resting in this place. Like you're not trying to completely relax. There's no effort to it. You're just kind of removing your awareness from all physicality. And that is where it happens. That is where those crazy things take place. And it's actually what Tom Campbell was talking about. So that's why I'm saying with me, it's probably be because of like brain trauma and stuff that I was focusing more on what's going on inside of me and with my consciousness, because I would have weird dreams. So many times I would wake up and I would be like being pulled. Like imagine you wake up, you're lying on your back, and now you're being pulled down the bed, like something like is grabbing your feet and
Dude,
pulling you. That happened to me the other night, dude. Like
dude,
it's not even something that happened like a long time ago only. Like it even happened the other week. But you tell people this and they say, "Oh, he's a kook or something," right?
but
Like, "Oh, there's demons and stuff."
I wanna. Okay, there's two things. First, I wanna ask you to do something for us,
Imagine
which is
boom.
which is which is take us through the steps in a condensed format. But first, I want to share with you. I think when I was a kid in Zellendorf in Berlin, uh, I was going into the phase every night because I had very controlled, or let me say, I was consciously dreaming almost every night, right? Not understanding what was really happening. So, of course, being a child, maybe 6, 7 years old, the characters that were mostly there, or a lot of the characters that I was rendering, interacting with, were cartoon characters. So this isn't the day before. So like Sailor Moon characters, right? Like I remember still Sailor Moon, that anime.
Yeah.
The one represents the moon, the other one represents Jupiter, blah 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 blah. All these different characters, or other ones. Those are the only ones I'm thinking of right now. And every night, basically, I would realize like, oh, I'm in a dream. So that's the trippy thing. First, I'm realizing that I'm in a dream. And then I would start going around different weird places like Buddhist temples and, like that, like real places, like not vague. Like I'm going around here. Maybe these characters are talking to me. I'm talking to them. And I would also continuously be pulled. So what would happen was it was like behind the walls there were like entities or something, right? And continuously I'd feel myself being pulled, like something's trying to pull me back, or maybe it was something trying to pull me out of the dream because I was conscious, but I would fight to stay in the dream, and I would succeed for a long time. I'm like I'm staying there. um In fact, now that I think about it, maybe it was like you said, when you get excited, or when you the dream something tries to pull you out of the phase, right? And so something is trying to pull me out of the phase, and I'm resisting. And I think, and I'd managed to overcome this pulling effect and stay in the dream for a long time, but it was effort. It was effort. I had to keep touching things and things like that, and interacting, and I'd stay in the dream, but continuously I'd feel now and again something's trying to pull me, sometimes a bit stronger, sometimes less. And one time I said, okay, let me be pulled by this thing, let me just give up and let this thing pull me. And it pulled me into the walls, and I was in the wall, and in the wall were like eyes and things. And that's obviously when I got extremely scared, and then I woke up. And all I remember is that now that I think about it, I used to think those were weird dreams, but now that I think about it, it's very possible that that was the phase. And that maybe just that childlike willpower, because we know children have extraordinary willpower, right? It becomes destroyed by the world through trauma, through disappointment, through conditioning. And so maybe what's very almost impossible for an adult, right? Staying in the dream once you realize it's a dream is easy for a child. They don't get pulled out. They can resist the urge to get pulled out and just be like, no, I'm not going. Anyway, that was my little experience of when I was a kid. Why
Yeah,
don't
it's
you comment on that if you want to, but then take us through the steps of someone who wants to go into the phase today.
dude. Okay, like okay,
Comment on what I
it's two
told you,
things.
and then
I'm
yeah.
gonna do that first, which is look, as children, it's like you said, there's not all this like indoctrination and trauma, and it all comes, it's like everything's like a microcosm. So, and I was actually telling you this week on a private call, I was saying that how do you stay in the phase when you're in it to avoid being pulled out? You engage in your senses. Um, you engage in your senses. You can still hear me, right? Yeah. No, I'm just you engage with your senses. You use your eyes, so you look at yourself in the mirror. You eat something, so you're using your taste buds. Obviously, the hearing, uh, these things happen just when you're walking. You're doing all these things and you are deepening your senses in the space. And then you are physically touching things and you're eating something, obviously. Like I said, which, now you're smelling it as well. Like you'll eat a strawberry. It actually reminds me of one that happened to me this week, which was it's quite funny. But anyways, you eat the strawberry and you won't taste anything. It'll just be like, cold and wet, essentially. Then you eat another strawberry and then you'll start tasting it. And you'll be like, oh, wow, strawberry. And these are all the things you do. So now imagine that has taken place in the physical world. You've deepened so much that by the time you're a teenager in your 20s, you're so engrossed in this place that could just potentially even just be another form of the phase if you really think about it. You're just so the the deepening is so deep that you keep coming back to it, which is there it's it. Oh man, I got so much to say about it. Anyways, now as a kid you don't have that yet. Your imagination is huge, so you can easily walk around in the phase and you don't really have an understanding or a reference point. So you're kind of just like, oh, well, oh, that's what you call a dream. Oh, okay. Oh, I have these friends in my dream. And the parents go like, okay, well, I guess we got to put our kid on pills.
Horla shanda pasata paruda batala.
Right?
Sorry.
And so the more you can disconnect yourself from this world, and I'm not talking about like disassociate, it all comes down to your awareness, dude. Any person right now, if they started strengthening their awareness, you'll notice that, oh, your awareness never sleeps. That's why I'm able to go into the phase and stuff. When my body was completely injured, I mean, I had to learn how to walk and stuff again after the car hit me. Where else could I go? Right? I remember being woken up I didn't even know what time it was, dude. And like, I just actually, dude, my stitches are on my left side, right? But I was so dinged up that I thought the doctor was on the right side. And I kept talking to my family and said, "Oh yeah, they put stitches in my head," and they're like, "No, it's on the other side." Like, it was
Mm.
bad, dude. And you know, it's interesting. I actually remembered, and I know you want me to do the thing, and I will get there. I remember I woke up in my hospital bed, and my brothers all came running in, and everybody was happy. You know, it reminded me of like Frodo, or when I
Mm-hmm.
think back, like, you know, when Frodo wakes up and Sam, you know, it sounds like such a
Yeah.
homo, but like, um, they all come rushing to him, and they're all happy, and they celebrate with him. Now I remember I got given, it's like, three toys. I don't know which they were. I know they were like wrestlers. I feel like I remember Shawn Michaels, like, and I had these toys, and I'm playing with the toys, and I'm so happy that I got these toys, and my family's there and stuff. And I wake up, or the next time I'm up, um, like, my parents are there, and I was like, "Where's my toys?" I remember asking them. They're like, "What toys?" And I was like, the toys you bought me." Like, "No, we didn't buy any toys." And like, now that I think about it, they were probably like, "Oh my gosh, he's lost it." You know,
Fun.
he's gone, right? But I was telling the truth, dude. Like, anyways, um, yeah, dude, it actually could have been so much worse now that I think about it. But that's why I said it was probably preordained so that I could do these things and explore these things. Sometimes it takes that cataclysm to set you on that path, right? So the strengthening of the awareness, and this is why, like, put the phones down, dude. Then you will realize that your awareness doesn't sleep when you lie down. Remember, I was saying, like, when I lie down and I'm feeling restless because it's like I'm not falling asleep, and then I open my eyes, and then I'm in the phase. The body has fallen asleep, but my awareness, the muscle is so strong that you open those, like, I guess, like spiritual eyes, like the eyes of your consciousness, because your body, quote unquote, is actually, it's fallen asleep. The thing that is restless is the fact that my consciousness is awake, but it's trapped in a dark room. So when you go to open your eyes, it immediately, like, creates a whole reality for you on the fly.
Mm.
And that is what is incredible. So the main thing is, then you don't have to do any of the techniques and stuff. The main thing is strengthening your awareness. So this is where, like, all kinds of concentrating comes in. Like, there's a practice that I'll add, and then I'll go into some of the things. Now, obviously, I'm a bit spoiled because I don't need to use techniques, like, but I have used them, and I'm like, "Oh, this kind of does work." But at the same time, I'm like, "Oh, this is unnecessary. Why don't I just wake up and I'm there?" Um, but it's called witness consciousness. It's a much easier type of meditation because you sit there and you just witness everything, but don't identify with anything. Something about your attention that's interesting is your attention doesn't identify with anything. It doesn't care. So you'll sit there, close your eyes, whether you're outside or whatever. There you hear a car in the distance, and your attention will, if you're listening to the car, it means your attention has fallen upon the car, right? Then you will, sounds obviously the easier thing because your eyes are closed. And then maybe you get a feeling because
Yeah.
of the car, that maybe it reminds you of something, or you get a thought. Then you'll notice how your attention will fall upon the thought. Then, because of the thought, your attention will fall upon the feeling that the thought gave you. Now, what we do as humans is we will, like, obsessed about the thought. But if you actually just carefully notice your attention, it'll actually shift from the thought to the feeling. And then someone on a bicycle comes past, your attention goes there. It's very subtle, but you just, you don't force your attention on the things. You just sit there and you're just, as a witness, you're just watching it. And it will start going left and right and left and up and down, and this feeling and the birds. When you start doing that, what starts happening is your focus starts to get narrower and narrower and narrower until, and this happened to me, and it was a beautiful thing, a very beautiful thought, um, and like the focus closes, and then I'm noticing everything at the same time. The plane, the bird, the feeling, the thought is all happening at once. And I am in the center of all of it. That point there is what you want to strengthen. So by doing that meditation, and you can do it anywhere, dude. You can at the office, you can do it while you're working. You notice, oh, Suzanne is talking again. I said Suzanne, not Susan. She's yammering there with Bill, and they're at the water cooler. Then your attention drops to the feeling that you have about how annoying they are. Then it goes back to the work that you're doing. Then the door opens. You can always be doing it. You can always be strengthening it. When that awareness gets tight and it gets strong, this is when you can do all these, like, quote unquote miracles of exploration through consciousness. That I used to call myself a surfer. Like, I'm surfing through consciousness, just like traveling. And the only, I guess, sad part
And
is
what drugs
that,
were you taking?
no, those drugs are unnecessary, but they did have their own, they did have their own benefit.
Oh, so
Okay, so
just
now
side note,
you want to
interesting.
know.
Side
Oh
note
yeah,
was
sorry.
how JRE Joe Rogan then I found that interesting. He of course brought up the drugs, and he was like, why not just do the drugs and take a shortcut there?
Yeah,
And Tom Campbell gave a very good answer, which is that if you can do it without the drugs, then the process is yours and you can access
exactly.
it at will for however long you want.
And that's how I feel with the phase.
Yeah.
Like, it's even this week, I literally just, so it took me a while, which was interesting.
Are you gonna
I was
forget
hanging
about
out.
giving us the tools?
No, I'm gonna do that. It's
Okay.
just okay. Let me do that first.
I
This is
just
why I did. This is why I didn't want to jump into this, because I had a whole couple of things prepared, but it's worldly
preparation
things.
is for the
Yeah,
weak-willed,
I
my
know, but
man.
it's worldly things. But it was more for just for clips.
Yeah, we'll do that at the
Oh,
end.
we spoke about this thing. No, it's gonna be so distasteful just to even bring up that rubbish. Um, this is what you want to do.
Okay.
So you started off perfectly by saying the afternoon nap thing, but the way I used to do it was, say it's a Saturday morning. Now I'm used to going to work or school.
Yeah.
So my body automatically wakes up at a certain time, right? Because I think I have to do something. But then I realize, oh, it's weekend. I can go back to sleep.
Perfect.
The key is don't move around, right? Remain in that position. Like, you opened your eyes. So how you would do that, you obviously want to mimic that. If you can't wake up, set an alarm. Set an alarm like an hour before you normally wake up. You know this alarm, so you'll wake up. Um, I'm just trying to think of a way. I mean,
You can
I haven't
set
used these things in such a
you
long
can
time,
set
but
a silent
it
alarm.
switches itself. Oh, okay, silent
So
alarm.
it buzzes or something, you know, zzz, zzz,
Okay,
zzz,
yeah,
and
that's
then it
probably a better way where you don't actually have to switch it off yourself. But it does wake you up. And you obviously, it's like you said last week, the intention is huge, where you say, I'm going to wake up to my alarm, but I'm not going to move around. That's, you know how powerful that is, dude. And then you wake up, and then in that moment, something I found was really good is you start counting down from 100. Just start counting slowly. Take like 2 seconds in between each number, like 100, 99, 98. And so what happens is the whole point of the phase, it's as simple as this. If someone can understand this, they'll have it. You have to get your body to fall asleep without your mind, your conscious mind, not falling asleep along with you. So when you are counting like that and your body's already in that rested state because it just woke up and now you're going back to sleep because you're still tired, and you can stay awake with your counting, then what will happen is there's that feeling where, so this is where like rolling out of bed comes from. This is where like pulling yourself up, all those methods of like Bob Monroe. Because when you're counting, you'll almost feel like you're starting to fall. Like it's like you're falling backwards. Like that can be quite scary to people.
let's
But
go
when you
to
fall
backtrack
back,
a little bit. Let's backtrack a little bit because and I'm doing this just because remember we're doing this
yeah, it's for people and
yes.
for those who need it.
When I go to bed, let's say when I take my afternoon nap, which I don't do but I'm going to do, um and I try to fall back asleep, like you said, I try to let the body fall asleep. So I try to think of something but relax fully. Okay? Sometimes what will happen is I also do fall asleep, but then I wake up again and I realize with my eyes closed, oh, I'm asleep now. You know what I mean? So like it may happen in fact that your eyes that you do actually lose consciousness, let's put it that way, for a moment or however long it is, because we don't really know. Is it a minute? Is it 30 seconds? Is it 10 minutes? An hour? But then you will suddenly realize that I'm sleeping. Oh, wait a minute. I'm not sleeping. My body is sleeping. I'm awake. Exactly. I just wanted to qualify that so that people know
Yeah, look,
what they
sometimes
might be
you just,
feeling.
the whole process is an experiential one. That's the only way I can put it. And here's a big key thing. When you start to intellectualize it, you lose it completely. And it's what Tom was even telling Rogan.
Yeah.
This is why the people who question these things are the people who can't actually even do it. Because they think there's like a process, like, okay, well, now he said that I'm lying here and I'm counting down, and then this is supposed to happen. It's like, no, let everything go. Like, you almost want to not even try do it. And that's when it kind of happens. When you're like, most of the times when you're not trying to do it, that's when it happens to you. Another doorway, and I learned this one like from Tom, which was like, yo, it was a game changer, was that I was like, I suffered a lot from sleep paralysis, right? So I was like, it was crazy how it happened, even. I mean, I can't even write this stuff. I woke up and I don't know, I had my YouTube open, checked the Tom Campbell video, and I started. So this was the first time he was on Rogan. I was just binging all his videos. And then a guy was saying, "Oh, I have a problem. I get sleep paralysis all the time." And he just starts laughing. He's like, "You know how rare that is to have people, if it happens to you all the time, where it seems like it's a problem." He's like, "That's the door right there. Like it's right there for you."
Mm.
And the guy's like, "What do you mean?" And he's like, "What is the first thing people do when they have sleep paralysis? They
Panic.
start fighting.
Yeah.
They panic, they start fighting, they start praying in tongues, all that stuff. Even though their mouth can't move. And they're like, oh, there's like a demon or something that's holding me down and all this stuff." And he's like, "No, just relax into it. Literally, just like completely relax into that sleep paralysis." And it was crazy, dude. Put the video off. I turned around on my bed. Now, I have a way of causing sleep paralysis, which I mean I've never discussed with anybody
Okay.
before, but it's kind of hilarious.
Yeah.
I lie on my arm. Like
Oh, like
I
that.
lie on
Okay.
my arm and I basically cut the circulation from my arm.
And then afterwards
So
you
what
jack off.
happens no. So what happens is that um you will fall asleep, but now your body, it's like something is wrong, so it like tries to wake you up. I can't really explain why it happens, to be
Yeah, yeah.
honest. All I know is every time I've had sleep paralysis, it's because I was lying on my arm, and it was like my arm was trapped, and it was so uncomfortable that I woke up, right?
Yeah.
And then I have to shift my arm out the way, and so I do that. I put my left arm out like that, and I lie basically on my arm. And dude, within seconds, boom, sleep paralysis hits me. Now it's obviously a very scary thing, but I was like, okay, I just watched this video 2 minutes ago, so I relaxed into it, and I relaxed into it, and then I just started rapidly falling, dude. Like, dude, just
Mm.
like my eyes are still closed, and I'm so nervous. I'm so scared because I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm falling like at a rapid pace, and I'm falling, I'm falling, I'm falling. I open my eyes, dude, and it's just a kaleidoscope of colors and shapes. Like, I always use the example of how Doctor Strange, when he falls like that, when the Ancient One or the Sorcerer Supreme pushes him or hits him here by his third eye or whatever. And I'm falling, dude, and I'm looking at all these colors and stuff, and I'm just thinking, wow, this is amazing. This is like a DMT trip. I just remember was thinking those things,
Yeah.
and then I remembered some of the techniques where I closed my eyes while I was falling, and then I just pictured my hands, right? I imagined myself like rubbing my hands together, the sound it makes, the heat in between my hands, and picturing my hands in front of my face. And then you literally, that through the darkness that you're looking at, the picture will start appearing.
Dude, can I
And
share my
you'll actually see your hands.
yeah.
And then you'll just be in a room somewhere and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm in the phase.
What happened to me at that point is it wasn't sleep paralysis because I was relaxed. I'd realized that, oh, I'm asleep. So I went through some movements. I tried to turn without moving my body, just like the intention to
Yeah,
turn.
it's the exactly
Then I
intention.
paused. Then I tried to turn again. Then I think I tried to visualize my hands. Okay. And that didn't work. So I stayed calm. And then I think I tried the fall through technique, right? Which is where you just relax. Now, I felt tingling all over my body, like vibration, like, right? And suddenly I felt like all over vibration, vibration, vibration. Now, I didn't feel like I was falling through anything like that, but I did feel like suddenly I'm detached. And I was in a dark space though, but it felt like a dark space of potential. And there was a little flickering kind of in front of me. Like yeah, like a flickering. And as I was like, what is that flickering? And I looked closer. Suddenly it's like it turned like a white flickering, and suddenly I was like in a room. You get what I mean? Like as I focused attention on the flickering, suddenly it came closer, and suddenly around me materialized like those old TVs. It just suddenly materialized, and suddenly I'm standing inside the room, and I'm like, what is this? Where
Yeah,
am I?
so that is it's it happens to me a lot. So an example of it was I'm lying on my bed. Um, I I go into I don't know how I did it in that moment. It wasn't. I think it was just one of the normal techniques, rolling and stuff. So I remember um, I was able to roll over because that's the thing. You roll over onto your stomach, like you fall asleep on your back. You roll over onto your stomach with intention. So I roll over and I'm like, whoa, I'm spinning. Like you're spinning left and right. And then the next thing I was like, okay, what now? But as I'm saying that, I started like falling forward and I went through the wall, right? That's in front of me. Through it. Now my eyes are still closed, so it's dark and it's just like the most beautiful thing ever. It's just I mean, I'm trying to make the sound effect of wind.
Mm.
Um, and I'm just free, like I'm flying forward, just
Nose
and
straight, yeah.
it's so freeing. I'm just flying forward, dude,
Do this
and
infinite nothing kind of thing.
just imagine just absolute freedom, and
Yeah.
that's literally enlightenment. But anyways, um, so I'm free flowing like that, just flying, and for quite some time, and then I was like, okay, I know that it's worked, but I need to go to the next step. So I was like, okay, the first step is always opening my eyes, right? Open my eyes because that's now you'll obviously consciousness will render in something for you. So I open my eyes, but it's still dark. But way down ahead there is like you said, there was this light. And I was like, oh, let me go towards that. And I start flying. And oh man, you've seen Interstellar, right?
Yes.
Ah, so dude, it trips me out. I can almost like break down into tears, dude. How it's so marvelous, man. It's so incredible. But anyways, so I see this light, so I'm flying towards it, and I see it's a square shaped light. So I'm like, huh, what is this, right? So I get closer and I get closer, and now I see these large, like ropes, right? They're navy blue ropes making up the square where this light is coming from.
Mm.
And then it hits me. Oh my gosh, it's my blanket. It's literally the stitching of my blanket, the duvet cover, which was navy blue. I
Mm.
was down at the tiniest level where the strands were even crossing and made like the hashtag thing, that
Yeah, yeah.
shape. Strands across and down. And that square was literally in between the blanket. And they were giant, dude. Like, I was like, wow. like, how small am I? You know, I was like Ant-Man. And as I went towards that light, uh, like it was, I don't know, there was like a weird flash, and now I was flying like still in dark space, but in front of me, there was no, it was actually to my left. There was this long line of light. So I was like, oh, okay, let me go to that one. So as I fly towards that light, like the next thing, I'm just like, boom. And I'm standing next to my bed in the room, in the phase. Then I realized that long piece of light was actually my bed, the bottom of my bed, you know, that space in between. So
Yeah.
I was underneath the bed, and that long line was the light coming from the room shining underneath the bed. So I flew towards them, boom. But at that point, I was so confident with the phase. Like I got there and I was like, I would just laugh
Mm.
because I'd be like, you know, look,
I'm back.
it's hard not to feel like a god, dude. Where you just like you laugh, you're like, let's see what I can do here. And this is all happening, dude. And you just, like I said, obviously, and I've spoke about this before, my proclivity towards the sexual things has been a hindrance to me. Um,
But I don't feel you
because
need to. Yeah, I don't think it's a problem. I mean, it is a problem, but it's something that you have to learn to overcome. Even Michael Ragusa, right, or Ragua, he was saying to the participants of his experiment,
dude,
as he was
that's
guiding
what
them.
that we'll look here. We'll link that video in the comments.
Okay.
That guy will be able to explain it a lot better than
Yeah.
me, right?
Yeah.
So in the comments, we'll link that video of
Yeah.
how, and then go from there.
Yeah. He does spend a lot of time trying to acclimate people. So just trying to explain to people so that they don't have this superstitious idea of it. Everyone goes there frequently, almost all the time. It's not some supernatural thing. Everyone has the power. You don't have to be specially selected. It's not only for the adept masters and all of that. But yes, you can go through the whole thing and
And the nice thing about how he did it, and he explained it, and I don't even know how I got to that, to be honest. Obviously, it was through Tom Campbell stuff, but basically, the why he does it so nicely is because you go day by day. So I didn't jump ahead. I pretended like I was in the class, right? So he gives you a whole thing, right? A whole speech about it, about the phase and everything. It's a Russian dude. And then he tells you what you need to try do for that night. Okay. Then you leave it there. I can't remember if he does like 2 nights because there's only 3 videos, but I can't remember if he does it like during half of that video, they come back the next day. But what I did was I didn't go and now start the second day. I was like, okay, cool. This is the information he gave me. I'm going to utilize that and go sleep. And I remember the first night, nothing happened. Dude. I was like, this is such rubbish. And then he goes around the class and he says, what happened to who? And some people say, oh, I was spinning around. Some people say, oh, nothing happened with me. And the thing that's exciting about it is because now you feel like you're a part of it. Oh, that chick over there
had my experience.
had my experience.
Yeah.
You might actually turn over and then you're like, oh, I couldn't get past this part. And then someone else has that same experience. And then he explains to each person what their issue was. And then you do the next night and the next night. And dude, but here's the thing, it's all about experience. We can sit here and we can talk about it
Till kingdom come.
till the
Yeah.
cows come home. But
Okay.
you must do it. Like
Yeah.
like who's gonna do it for you? No one's gonna do it for you. Like, think about this. Every night, everybody is in the phase. You just
yeah.
don't remember because your awareness is so weak. It's a weak muscle.
But
So you
there's so many
your neck
people.
can't. There's so many holes in your neck when you grab stuff. All the fish just like swims out.
So many
But
people,
yeah, there's so many people.
Muslim and Christian alike.
Oh boy.
No, true. Who will
Well, I don't
say,
know disrespect to them, but
who will tell you, that's evil or that's dangerous, right? It's dangerous, which I find is interesting. Yeah, like obviously I have my
remember
things.
I got scolded at, right? There was the whole thing that happened where my WhatsApp was basically open and yeah, the links there was basically how to leave your body in 3 days. Because that's what the
Yes.
video is called for Michael Ragoa. And someone of the Christian faith saw that and of course freaked out.
There was an
This is the
intervention,
occult.
right?
Huh?
There was an intervention.
Oh yeah, well yeah, exactly. What are you busy with? This is the occult.
Yeah,
You know, people were praying over me or like trying to. Anyways, so but here's something you must remember. This is your own consciousness, dude. This is one of the ideas, right? One of the ideas is, okay, here's something that I will say. I can't believe I'm saying this, but with
We'll
my
accept you.
experience, no, with my experience now, there is a warning on it.
Yeah.
Um, people must be careful with anything. Why do I say this? Because your vessel might not always be ready to take on that much light. So, what do I mean by that? If you only have a 40-watt bulb and I hit you with 1,000 watts, that bulb is going to explode. And this is how people have actually gone to the mental asylums and stuff. They've literally been hospitalized through simple things like meditation and stuff. You're dealing with, first of all, it's your own power, but because of your belief in physicality and all these types of things. And this happens with, you look here, we've seen this with many people. You even mentioned your one friend, right? Who, ended up dead.
What?
We've seen this with people who take psychedelics and they're never the same again,
Yeah.
right? Um, this happens with people who just smoked weed for the first time and they went nuts.
Mm.
So all these things that are out there you need to be very careful with them, and you need to take the proper steps in doing them.
I think the
The nice
knowledge
thing
is the key. Sorry to interrupt you. I think the knowledge is
yeah,
the
but
key.
it's also, yeah, the knowledge is the key, but it's also,
because like what you're saying is true. If it's the knowledge of it, like knowledge or illumination dispels that darkness, and that I think is the biggest problem. If you're going to go through an experience like this, right, and you have very deep fears, and now you generate or render scary things, right, monsters or whatever, like I was doing as a kid, where I suddenly saw like these figures in the wall. You are going to feel like it's a curse or something, unless you understand that, oh, this is coming from within. So it's an internal fear I
Exactly.
need to deal with, just like my fear for spiders, right? It's a phobia. It's an irrational fear. Really, the spider can be destroyed and killed by something as simple as your foot or your hand or a new rolled up newspaper, and you just smack it. It's gone. Yet you have this debilitating fear. So the moment you understand or have the knowledge of what is really happening, then that what you mentioned, being a 40-watt bulb and then just like popping, it's not going to happen. Uh, Even something like a meditation, you won't panic. I mean, I've met people. Um, in fact, yeah, someone I know very close to me who smoked a joint, and it wasn't even strong stuff, and they were like, "My heart, it's pumping, I'm dying." No, every stoner knows that's just a little bit of the heart. Your pulse is increasing. That you're stoned. It's not like you're not
Dude, you're
dying.
changing your brain
Yeah,
waves
you're
in
not. You
real
don't need
time.
hospitalization or anything. You just need to relax. But anyway, continue. I didn't
Dude,
want to
one of
interrupt you.
my exes when I was a teenager, like allegedly I let her smoke weed for the first time.
Oh, yeah.
Um, and I made her, well, not made her, but like she wanted to smoke it like how I smoke. So I just said, just take one, let it settle down, just feel it out, you know. She was like, no. And she just hit this blunt, dude. Bah, 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 bah. And then I remember she was like, right, she just like froze in time like this. And then she looked right and she looked left and she started like running left and right, like covering herself left and right, like there was something there. And I was looking at her like, what the hell? Like, like is she broken now or something? But in the moment, I was just like, okay, I need to remain very calm because I can't be panicking yet. So I
Yeah,
just remained
exactly.
calm. Um, and then she obviously picked up on that and then she calmed down. And I was like, what happened? Right? Like, explain what you saw. And she's like, hands came out of the sky, like just out of like whatever dimension, and was trying to grab her from her left and her right.
Jeez, brother, something weird
Yeah,
has happened with my. I don't know what's going
dude, this
on.
whole podcast has been weird, dude. We keep
It
going.
it really, yeah.
Nothing's gonna
Like,
stop us, dude.
I hope I can get this going. I don't know why it's trying to. It's frozen me. No, my
It's fine,
goodness.
dude. Just while you're busy with that, there's something I wanted to say that was important. Right. So it's the same with like Kriya yoga, with pranayama, with bhakti. It doesn't matter really what it is. You must take smaller steps. This is why they always say, "Oh, work with someone." Right now, that are you still there? Just asking.
I'm still here. My video is frozen.
Okay, yeah,
So
it's
you just
fine.
keep going.
Yeah, so this is why they'll say, "Oh, you work with someone," and then that can seem to be like now it starts becoming weird. You know, it's like, oh, you're going to go visit this person who's helping you with, you know, do these things. The thing about the phase, obviously, is that you, it's something you do every night. You go to sleep and you dream. So that's why it's a door that everybody can kind of walk through. Um, but even with that, there's certain things that kind of take place. Just just say yes.
Yes, yes, yeah, I'm here,
Okay.
100%.
So for instance, it will be like this. Um, there's certain things that happen, and this happened to me a few times, and it freaked me out. And I can imagine that people would have run to the insane asylum. Michael Rago spoke about it as well. I was doing that stuff where you're going all out every time every moment you have a chance to do it, you go into the phase. So then what happened was I woke up and, like, imagine it like a scene in front of you. Let's say, for instance, you watching TV or something,
Yeah.
and so the TV's on. Say you're watching a soccer match, and then everything kind of goes into slow motion, and then you woke up,
Okay.
and now, like, maybe you try get up or something, and you still see it. It won't go away.
Mm. Yeah.
That is one of the, like, that would freak you out, and it did, obviously,
Yeah.
because you're like in the kitchen and you're still seeing this thing, and you're like, what is going on here?
Yeah. That's trippy.
So
That's
that's something that, like I said, if someone doesn't know that, oh my goodness.
it can trip you out. Okay, so that's a very interesting warning. First of all, sorry about the interruption. It seems like we're being plagued with that today. Network issues,
Episode
etc.
20, of course. It's a milestone.
Right.
Not it wasn't
you-
gonna come easy for some reason.
Yeah. You mentioned something important, which is that going there all the time, or your own personal experience, you're not claiming that this is for everyone, but your own personal experience was that you were going there so often that at some point, even when you were waking up again, you were still seeing parts of the phase. Like you were still in that, right? And and I mean, Thomas Campbell, it sounds like he's saying something similar when he was saying, "I'm in three places at the same time." Are you I don't know. Is that what kind of warning is that? Is a warning as in terms of just note that this could happen? Is that a bad thing if you're like living in multiple places at the same time? Is that inherently bad, or is it, you know? I suppose as a materialist we would say, don't do this now. Guys, we are having wonderful experiences here. It's just
Am I
terrific.
back?
You're back.
I'm
Thank
back,
goodness.
right?
Yes, dude. It's I'm cracking up
Dude, it's
because
like,
there's too much. There's too much
yeah,
power
it's like
in
this
this
message
episode.
can't go out.
Mm,
No, so you were saying that my warning would be, go easy. Like, the one thing I have learned is that this reality is the greatest one. That's what I will say. I've spent, I don't know how many years in the phase. This one here is like the greatest one. It's a lot. It's like it's alive. It's exciting. It's
another
this, it
question.
seems
Yeah.
like it seems like the stakes are higher. But what I will say is that once you get to the level where you you can start creating. It's like I told you. Like, I. It's so weird to say, but I created a female companion. Designed everything really just with my mind, right? Down to the freckles, the color of the hair, everything, height. And I would just, like, imagine that person. And then just during my day, I would just imagine the person doing simple things like having a coffee and sitting across from them, going to a movie, all those types of things. that was like one of my first experiments, like Simone, the movie.
Ah, yeah.
Until one day I actually saw her in the phase.
At a party or
And
something.
that was the first time at that party that I told you about. It was like Burning Man. And I saw her and I was like, that's her. And I went up to her and I was like, hey, you know, and she was like, do I know you? And I was like, what? And actually, that moment pulled me right out of the phase. I don't know. I was like just heartbroken or whatever. But I remember a time after that, I was in like a kitchen and I looked around and then she came walking to me. And I was like, oh my gosh. Like, you know how weird it is to not only imagine someone that doesn't even exist and then in real time see them like walking up to you. And then this is the weirdest part about it. I was so nervous and stuff, like talking. And she even told me, why are you acting so weird tonight? And that kind of blew my mind because I was like, there's a backstory, there's like memory here that I'm like not tapping into or not giving myself a chance to tap into. Um, yeah, it was obviously like Tom talks about this all the time. That's how he created Tom's Park. That's a whole different topic.
Yeah, we need to
But
go into that some other
you
time.
know, like he's the reason why I was able to do this because it's like with Tom's Park. You create a sandbox where you add the things while you're awake. You think about them. I want
While
this
you're
year, I want
away.
this year.
While you're away.
While you're awake, you do that.
So like
You
while
can
you're
even
awake.
write it out if you want. You just
Okay.
use your imagination. And for some reason, there's a point where you'll go to that place and it'll be exactly how you imagined it.
So just for
Something that I
clarity,
create.
you mean I've gone to the phase, I come back, and I'm like, you know what would be awesome if there were like a place, like while I'm awake in this you and me state right now, and I'm like, yeah, it would be amazing if there were this and that, and a park with slides and water pool. I mean, with like pools and things, and then when I go back, I can go to this place.
You can go to this place, yeah. You can even have like talking animals, like there's certain factors like you can lie on the grass with no shirt on and you won't itch. Like even those are the types of small details you'll add. Now, like I said, for the person who doesn't know about these things, it just sounds crazy, obviously. How can that even be real? But I can only say from experience that I don't know how it works. The only thing I know is that consciousness is fundamental. And because it can do anything and everything, and you are a piece of that, when you tap into that ocean, you can do whatever you want. You can literally do whatever you want. And this density, it's the same thing. It's just slower. Like in there, you have an immediate thought and it happens. Here, you have a thought and then it happens in some time, right? And then you forget that you had that thought 6 months ago, 5 months ago, 3 years ago. And then the thing happens to you, and then you say, oh, life is so unfair, all these circumstances. No, you thought about this a long time ago. Then when things were able to synchronize, the perfect opportunity for this thought to take place, because all the factors that you needed were there, boom, it happens.
Mm.
There's no difference with it.
What I find interesting also is He didn't. I don't remember him mentioning this in the podcast, this most recent one on Joe Rogan. Oh, dude, someone doesn't want us to have this conversation. I'm telling you, man, it's crazy. Someone, something. Is it just the wrong day? Maybe there's a solar eclipse. What's going on? But network just simply isn't agreeing with us. Let me see. Let's give it a try. Okay, we've lost Mikey again. I suppose all the things we've been discussing, it's been a lot. It is a lot. You know, I guess the best thing to say is it's an opportunity to test something out. Especially if you don't believe it. That is the perfect excuse to try it out, to let go and to see what is it that people are experiencing. I mean, what is it that these seemingly sane people are talking about? That's the best way to test it for yourself, is to try watch the Michael Regua video that we're going to put in the link that we're going to put in the video, and see what's actually going on for yourself.
Yeah, look, obviously there's a lot of ups and downs with the podcast. I don't know, it's network connection and things. It's okay. Like, of course, this will come across as insane. I mean, that much is obvious because
The
it's
whole
so
discussion.
out there. The whole discussion. Um, we'll end it now just because of network and things. But there's a lot of good information in there, and it's also, like I said, and another important thing, this reality density, whatever you want to call it, is the most important, is the most exciting. But what doing everything else does is that it shows you, hey, I can actually start to think a little bit out the box here, because how can this be? How can I be walking around doing normal things and being conscious of it, yet also knowing I went to sleep, and my so called body is sleeping in my bed? And at any moment, I can just, open my eyes like that and be in my bed exactly as I was. These things are exciting, and it does expand your mind a little bit, because no matter what anybody says, we all dream. You just don't remember it. And it's like we did the one clip, like, don't sleep away a third of your life. You know how exciting it is to live your life, and then when you go sleep, you just live whatever one you want.
Yeah.
You get to create, and you get to explore, and you get to do all these things. And this is obviously another important thing I wanted to discuss, was that when things arise in the face that scare you, it's like Umguni was saying, these are things that you need to deal with, and what a perfect place to deal with them and release them in the face. You're literally facing your fears when you go look in the mirror and there's this clown standing behind you, and you're like, you freak out. That's happened to me a few times. Not a clown, but some crazy looking thing. And then working on it, and my fear started dropping and dropping and dropping, to a point where nothing even shows up anymore. That I have such confidence when I go into the phase now. And then you'll notice it in your own life. you'll be like, hey, I actually feel more confident when I'm doing things now.
Yeah.
Because that's what all of this is about. All the stuff in the phase is just stuff in your unconscious mind, in your subconscious mind, that you're running away from. And unfortunately, they will show up in real life in that you might not want. And because you guys believe so much in this physical world, it's going to be a permanent thing. So, yeah, that's all I have
Fight
to
through
say about that.
I think that's a perfect conclusion. Exactly. Why would you want to not go through that and waste an eighth of your life, a third of your life, 8 hours or more every day or night, not getting to experience that? And I'm amped to do it again. I'm amped. That experience, it never left me. I want it again. It was great.
Yeah, dude, it's.
It was
I might
great. It
even
was
take a
beautiful.
nap right after this. But yeah, let's. I'll do 2 minutes, and
Yeah.
then we'll end with that. But yeah, I'll say thank you to start, and then thank you to end it, and leave in silence. Thank you. Thank you.